"Sir, I asked you a question. What are you doing with my daughter?" The voice sliced through the terminal like a blade, sharp, urgent, and trembling on the edge of fear. Heads turned. A toddler's cry had just softened only to be replaced by the sharp pitch of a mother's voice cracking through the glass and steel cathedral of JFK. The janitor didn't move. He remained where he was kneeling, just a few feet away from a small girl with flushed cheeks and tear-streaked eyes. In his gloved hand, he held out a single peppermint candy, its wrapper shimmering under the fluorescent lights. The girl, Ivy, maybe 6 years old, hugged a weathered teddy bear against her chest. She wasn't crying anymore. Instead, she looked up at the janitor with something like awe. Evelyn stormed forward, dragging a rollerboard suitcase behind her. Her tailored navy coat flared behind her heels like a cape, commanding attention with every step. She stopped just short of grabbing her daughter. "Don't you touch her," she said through gritted teeth. "I didn't," the janitor said calmly. His voice was deep low like a stone dropped into a still well. "I was just telling her a story." Evelyn's eyes flicked to her daughter. "Ivy, baby, are you okay?" she asked, kneeling down. "Did this man try to—" "No, Mommy," Ivy whispered, clutching her bear tighter. "He didn't touch me. He sounded like the dream." "The what?" "The voice in my dream," she said, barely audible. "The one who tells stories under the moon." Evelyn's jaw tightened. She rose, turning her fire back to the janitor. "I don't care who you think you are," she snapped. "Stay away from my daughter." The janitor didn't flinch. He stood slowly, carefully, not defensive, not apologetic. Just tired. The fluorescent lights caught his janitor's uniform, worn slightly frayed at the cuffs. One sleeve had a tiny rip near the shoulder patched with black thread. A faded name tag read simply, "Caleb." "Ma'am," he said quietly. "I didn't mean any harm." She was alone, crying. "I just sat close enough so she wouldn't feel invisible." Evelyn opened her mouth, but before she could reply, a voice nearby cut in gently. "She was scared," said an elderly woman in a faded sun hat sitting on the nearby bench. And he calmed her. "That's all I saw." Evelyn blinked. The old woman looked at her with eyes both soft and heavy with years. Sometimes the woman added, "It's the ones who mop the floors who see the things no one else does." Evelyn's grip on the suitcase handle tightened. She turned back to Ivy. "You can't wander off like that," she said, her voice low and firm. "I didn't," Ivy replied. "You were talking to the desk lady and then I saw a balloon. It looked like a cloud. I followed it. Of course, a child chasing a balloon." 1 minute she was beside Evelyn at the check-in counter, the next vanished into the crowd of luggage boarding calls and strangers. Evelyn exhaled shakily, brushing a strand of hair from Ivy's forehead. Caleb crouched down again, slowly keeping his distance. "She said she missed someone," he murmured. "I told her about the moon, how it watches over the people we love even when they're far away." Evelyn looked at him, then really looked at him. The scar behind his ear, the tired, gray-blue eyes, the way he spoke with a patience that didn't feel performative. Something flickered in her gut, an echo, a thread tugged from a memory she'd buried. She shook it off. "Come on, Ivy," she said, scooping her daughter into her arms. "Let's go." They turned ready to walk away, but Ivy tugged gently on her sleeve. "Mommy." Yes, Ivy looked over Evelyn's shoulder back at Caleb. She whispered something so quietly Evelyn almost missed it. His voice. "It's like the one in the picture." Evelyn froze. The picture she asked. The one I draw. The one of Daddy. Evelyn went still. Caleb, who had begun to gather his cleaning cart, also stopped. There was a beat of silence between them. Thick, suspended, cracking with something unspeakable. "You draw pictures of your dad?" Evelyn asked, trying to keep her voice level. Ivy nodded. "In the picture, he's under the moon. He has a scar behind his ear. He gives me candy and stories, just like this man." Evelyn turned back toward Caleb slowly. Her face was pale now, her eyes scanning his features again, no longer with suspicion but confusion, and something that looked a lot like dread. "You said your name is Caleb." He nodded once. "Yes, ma'am." She stared at him, at his hands, at the way he stood half in shadow beneath a blinking overhead sign. "Did you ever serve overseas?" she asked, her voice quieter now. "In the Navy," his brow furrowed. "Yes," he said slowly. "A long time ago. I don't remember everything." Another pause. A louder boarding announcement crackled overhead. Someone's suitcase toppled in the distance. But none of it registered to Evelyn, because her daughter was looking at a stranger and seeing her father, because the janitor before her had just said he didn't remember everything, because her heart was pounding in the same frantic rhythm it did 6 years ago when she'd opened her email and read "no longer active," recipient unknown. And because Caleb's voice, she realized, now sounded exactly like the lullaby that sometimes crept into Ivy's dreams, the one she had never sung to her daughter, the one no one else could have known. Evelyn swallowed hard. Caleb, still watching her, slowly reached into the breast pocket of his uniform. He pulled out a folded scrap of paper, creased aged edges curled. He held it out with trembling fingers. "I found this in an old bag," he said. "It's torn. It doesn't say much. Just 2 letters and a smudge." Evelyn took the paper, unfolded it, and there it was. Faded ink, water-streaked lines. Eve. She stared at it, breath caught somewhere in her chest. Caleb spoke again, softer this time. "I don't remember your face." But when she spoke, something inside me remembered your name. I never imagined the first word you'd say to me after all these years would be, "Ma'am." Evelyn's voice was barely louder than the steam hissing from the espresso machine. She stirred her coffee without drinking it, eyes fixed on the man across from her, the man who once held her hand under the desert stars and made her laugh with stories about the moon. Caleb sat opposite, his calloused fingers wrapped around a paper cup of black coffee. He didn't stir, didn't sip. He just looked at her, eyes clouded, like someone who knew he should recognize the painting in front of him but couldn't name the artist. "I didn't think we'd ever meet again," he said quietly. "Didn't even know there was an again to meet." Evelyn studied him. The scar behind his ear, the rough stubble on his chin, the eyes that used to sparkle when they spoke about tomorrow. "You served at Camp Bastion, didn't you?" she asked. A pause. He blinked slowly. "How do you know that name?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. Scrolling for a moment, she found the photo, old, grainy, buried deep in a folder she hadn't opened in years. She turned the screen toward him. A young man, shirtless, laughing under a khaki tarp, dirt on his cheeks, sunburnt shoulders, dog tags swinging. His arm was draped over a woman's shoulder, hers. Caleb stared at the photo. His fingers trembled slightly as he took the phone. "That's me," he said, voice barely audible. "You told me your dream was to own a little place in Colorado, fix up old motorcycles, maybe teach kids how to ride someday." Her lips curled into something too sad to be called a smile. "You never said goodbye. You just vanished." His gaze dropped. "I don't remember saying any of that, but it sounds like something I'd wish for. You left me with a wish and a heartbeat that wouldn't stop growing," she said. And then a message came, "Missing in action." That's what the email said. Caleb looked up, confusion clouding his face. "I tried to reach you, sent letters, emails, but everything bounced back. I thought you were dead, Caleb." He leaned back in the plastic chair. For a moment, he looked like a man who had stopped breathing. Not because he couldn't, but because he didn't know how to anymore. "I don't remember getting any letters. After Kandahar, there were 4 days I don't remember. They told me my unit was ambushed. Something about a blast of fall. When they found me, I was alive, but scrambled." He tapped the side of his head gently. Not broken, just